Right guys, let's cover the latest purchases, and firstly let's cover this one here, the 2007 Mini Cooper. Why did I buy it? I don't know. I didn't even do the basic checks as well. I went to drive this home last night. I thought I had a slight misfire. Got to the roundabout at the top of the road, got an engine management light. Hi, welcome back to Chop Garage. Those of you that follow me regularly will know about this Mini. So this is the Mini I bought, the Mini Cooper S I bought from BCA auctions, and immediately regretted it because I've already been told by everybody under the sun that these are probably the most unreliable Minis you can get. This is the RS6 with the turbocharged Citroen engine in it. I think it's a Citroen engine, isn't it? I bought this and immediately regretted it because I hear nothing but bad things about their reliability, and got it in and there's engine management light on it. So we've plugged it in, and what it's actually coming back with is a code for the diverter valve on the turbo, which is I think the equivalent of a dump valve. When the pressure builds up too much, it lets it out through that. I think that's how it works anyway. And what was happening is when I took the car around, no engine management code, but as soon as I hit boost, engine management code came up. So we need to crack on with this and get that swapped out, and fingers crossed I dodge a bullet. So far the feedback has been I've got a burnt out valve, I've got coil packs that have gone out. These are all the kind of feedback I've had from people on this, and sorry James, bad news, but you definitely have to take the engine apart. A lot of people referred to what's the Salvage guys channel, Salvage Rebuilds. They had one of these, did a load of work on it, still got engine management codes. So I'm going into this realizing it could be problematic. So before you get any further in the video, comment down below, what do you think the real problem with the Mini is? What do you think the real problem is? So if you remember, we had lumpy running and we had the engine management light coming on when we hit the boost, and it was popping and spitting as well. I didn't mention that. If you revved it up, it's popping and spitting a lot out the back. So before you go any further, no fast forward in the video, comment down below what's wrong with the RS6. So the cars are filthy again. We'll give them a quick little tidy up. So thanks to Tom again. I'm going to try his flawless shampoo. So this is the moonshine stuff. Remember, there's a code underneath the video for 25% off. They've given me a code, Chops Garage, for you guys to go and get 25% off their products, which I think is a pretty generous discount. So don't forget that. So yeah, we're just going to give them a quick wash off and rinse off, just so they look a bit tidier. But that place is, you know, I'm really looking forward to getting a new location, because that place over there, the recycling centre, just covers all the cars in dust. You know, about a day after me cleaning them. It's beaded up really nicely. That must be the quick detailer, the moonshine quick detailer I used the other day, about 4 days ago. Just giving it shampoo and rinsing. It's actually really beading up. I have to say the other quick detailers I use don't tend to do that. They just give it a bit of a shine, but they don't let it bead afterwards. So I'm really liking that moonshine quick detailer. I'm gonna have to get some more of that, because it goes on, gives it a really good shine. Obviously it gives this beading as well. So back on the Mini, if you remember, it was telling me that the recirculation valve, or basically what is the dump valve, was faulty on it. I've got the old one off, and there was a rubber seal around the outside that was totally crusty and broken up. So it may well be that was our fault. It's sort of sat between, let me try and show you, it's sat between these two surfaces here somewhere. So it is possible that is what my engine management light fault is. I'm obviously hopeful that the fault is what the system is telling me is the fault. So we'll put the new one in. It lives just down here by the side of the turbo. I had to undo the air pipe, move that to one side, move the water bottle to one side to be able to get in there and get the 3 Allen bolts out. So not particularly testing job, apart from there's going to be one that's going to be a bit of a pain to line up in a minute, I think. But we'll get it back in. Oh, I'll fish that out of wherever it's landed and we'll see how we get on. So guys, if you remember, as soon as I pulled hard enough for the turbo to come on boost, I got an engine management light that was telling me that the boost valve was faulty. So we're around industrial state, no one else is in at the moment. I've changed that valve over, so we're going to do a pull now. Well and truly into boost. We had a of bing then, but it's just petrol. Now before, when I pulled like that and got turbo, I got the engine management light. I haven't got it now. Now I'm not going to say it's fixed, I need to take it for a longer run, but before, just around the car park, that was enough to do it. As soon as I hit boost, that warning light, engine management light came on. Stereo seems to have fixed itself as well. All those broken up pixels seem to have disappeared. All the pixels seem okay now. Maybe it was a low battery causing some problems. Yeah, I'm not going to say fixed. I'm going to put some fuel in it, I'm going to drive it home. Definitely got a knock on the left hand side, need some suspension work. But before I throw any more money in it, let's make sure this code doesn't come back. We're not going to say success yet. I'm quietly, what should we say? I'm mildly pleased is what we'll say at the moment. I'm mildly pleased to see the engine light hasn't come back again. But I don't think we're out of the woods till we take it for a longer run. So fingers crossed then guys, that the reason this was part exchange was because that engine management light was coming on and the people had got to a point where they'd lost the plot sometimes with the cars, where it's just one more fix they don't want to do. It took me 20 minutes to swap out, the part was 50 quid. Are we saying it's fixed? No, I'm not that daft. You've seen enough of my videos now to know that things can go squarely again pretty quickly. I do need to do a sort of suspension out. I think I've got a lower arm gone, or a top mount gone on this side, a bit of a knock. But before I throw any more money at it, I'm going to go for a longer test drive and see any other qualms. I haven't gone through all the electrics yet. But fingers crossed, I'm due a bit of good luck, to be honest. I am due a bit of good luck. So a bit of a mixed bag this Saturday. This is on a ramp because it's sold, and it's on a ramp because I'm going to do a new MOT. They paid asking price $2,995, but I'm going to put a new MOT on it for them. So I put it on a ramp so I can have a look over it before it goes into the MOT, see if there's anything obvious before it goes. So yeah, so that's sold. Obviously we did that fix on a Mini, so I'm going to take that home and see if that's all good. But obviously I've had to refund on the blue Corsa, and the guy never turned up to look at the Peugeot convertible, so it doesn't allow that shifting. But we sold a car. I've put up the blue Corsa now, is up, spares and repair sale. I've had an offer of buying this, I don't know what these are worth, a 2008 C30 diesel, 2.4 diesel. I imagine that goes well with a 2.4 in it. I'm going to run the numbers and see if that's worth buying to put up for sale. I'd normally avoid diesels, it's an automatic as well. Yeah, so gone to a lovely young lady, this first car. So she's saved up the money herself to get her first car, so we'll be extra specially vigilant going through that and making sure that she doesn't have to go put any more money into that over the next year or so. So bombed around in the little Mini on Sunday, drove into work this morning, no reoccurrence of the code. It flies. I haven't driven one of these before. It is proper quick. It really does go. In terms of other faults, we know we've got to look at the suspension on this side, so we'll get that done now. We know that mechanically it seems okay. I need to give the interior a good clean, do a proper photo shoot on that. I've got good exterior pictures, but I didn't clean the interior because I wanted to get it up for sale quickly and didn't have time, so I've got to clean the interior and take nice pics of that. But yeah, she's flown along. Obviously the little orange Suzuki's now gone, and the little Citroen C1's there ready for its MOT, and the Corsa is now out for sale, sort of spares or repair. So we'll see how we go with that. I want to free up this space. I want to free up this space because I've got another Fiat 500 coming down, and I want to try and get another C1 or something like that into stock. I've got to clean this up today so I can get it up for sale properly. And this one, I'm trying to track down the right colour wing. I hate aftermarket wings, they never line up properly. So I'm trying to track down a wing on that so that I can then get it on and get the repairs done on it. If needs be, I could get this out and paint this wing up, to be fair, but I've got to get it off to get in here and straighten these edges out. So there doesn't seem a lot of point. I'm not sure that I can fix it in situ because we've got a bit of a bulge here. Mind you, I could hammer and dolly that a bit, but I still want to get in here and pull that out, straighten that out a bit there as well. I don't want to just fill it full of filler, which obviously would be the quickest. Actually, I can see some marking up here which indicates some poor paintwork before, so I'm going to want to sand up there as well. So I'll hang fire and just see if I can't get the same colour wing. I'll hang fire for a day or so, see if I can get the same colour wing before starting too much on it. But I might give it a clean up other than that, just so that people can see its potential if they're coming in between. I've got 2 headrests sorted. I could have just taken them out, but it's the proper thing to have their headrests in. Got them 45 quid for the 2 delivered, so I'll pop them out, stick it in. But yeah, getting a little bit touchy now because I've got a couple of cars and they're not properly up for sale now. So I don't actually have a lot of stock properly up for sale, so I need to get cracking now, get some work done. So the Cooper, I've now driven it for 3 days and the code has not come back, and I haven't been light on the car. So I think, touch wood, that was what the problem was. I mentioned the suspension. I had Pete check it out on the ramp. I checked it out on the ramp. I then had Pete as a second opinion on it, and then my old mates at Car Care had a look on their ramp because they got the MOT testing, shaker plates and all that. Everyone is telling me the suspension is fine on it, the rubbers are fine on it. I think what it is, I'm not used to quite this hard a ride. What I was finding on these Devon back roads is I hit a pothole, it would tug a little bit, but I think at the end of the day, I think possibly these are a bit stiffer than I'm used to, because I like to drive while I bomb around my little Fiat 500, which has got quite fat profile tyres on it, and all these other cars like the Corsas and that I drive got fat profile tyres on them. Comment down below, is your experience of these that they're a bit stiff on the suspension? Yeah, give me a comment below. But we've checked all the rubbers, they're all good, the shocks are good, the springs are good, drop links are good. So, you know, if an MOT and it did, don't forget I got it when it just had an MOT as well, so I was surprised if there was going to be a problem because it just passed MOT. But I've had another independent MOT person check it, and I've had Pete check it. Stu's had a look at it as well. All seem to be 100% happy with the suspension side of things on it. So back to the title of the video. If I fixed it, why would I never buy another one again? Because of the worry. That's the fact. It's the worry. I've heard so many horror stories about these cars. That could have easily been a big repair, big expensive repair. And I think, touch wood, I was lucky, but I still don't feel lucky because I still think at any moment I could get a problem. And the idea of retailing it is worrying me because, again, it's if something goes wrong with it. I mean, at the end of the day, you tend to only see cars buying in a trade that have had problems anyway. That's why people part exchange them in the first place. And as mechanics, you only ever see cars that have got a problem. You never hear about the ones that are running fine because you never see them. So is it a bit unfair on this platform? Are they really as bad as everyone says? But to be honest, the worry of buying another one and having it arrive with issues is too much. So I don't need that kind of stress. So I'm not going to be buying Mini Coopers again. I don't even know if how well this one's going to sell, to be honest. I mean, it looks dirty at the moment, but it is incredibly clean for the age. This is as good as some of the 2015 cars I've had in. It's probably as good as the Dacia in 2018, to be honest. The interior is immaculate. Paintwork is really good. It cleans up really, really well. Nice with the black leather and the cream trim. And it's a lot of fun to drive, but I just don't have that kind of headache. All this other stuff, you know, relatively easy fixes. Excuse that, nice tune up going on across the road there. So that is why I'm never going to buy at least this version of the Mini Cooper again. Thanks for watching, guys. More content coming out soon. Do me a favour, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button below. Help me do more with the channel. Always appreciate you watching. Always happy to answer every comment. So see you again soon.